I'm so pleased to have Taelo Mojapelo, the CEO of BP Southern Africa. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mariro.
South Africa recently granted BP a long-term lease of Durban's Island View precinct, which handles about 70% of the country's fuel imports. How will this impact BP's operations and strategy in Southern Africa?
Yeah, so the Island View precinct, which is a precinct in Durban, is actually quite a strategic asset for the country. And in fact, the asset itself is a national key point as per the National Key Points Act. So we're quite pleased that as an industry, we have been granted 25-year long-term leases. And this is actually a strong demonstration of the strength of private-public partnerships. As you know, the land belongs to Transnet National Ports Authority, and as BP, together with Shell, we're in a partnership. We have actually invested assets on that land, and now with the 25-year lease, we will actually be continuing the investments to make sure that we support government's mandate on security of supply, but also ensure that we service our customers, which is our dealer networks, as well as our commercial customers, be it mining, commercial road transport, and so forth, and making sure that we continue to invest in safe and reliable operations.
Yeah. And just bringing it down to South Africa, BP South Africa launched a nationwide service station refurbishment. What are the objectives and expected outcomes of this modernization?
Yeah. We sat down a couple of years and put together a strategy, and our strategy is actually quite solid. It's a three-pronged strategy. We want to make sure that we implement a supply operating model whereby we can import competitively into the market and ensure that we actually make sure that our businesses remain competitive. Our retail business is important and strategic to us. We operate about 500 retail sites across South Africa. And, it will be important for us to ensure that they remain relevant. Customers today actually want an offer that is quite compelling, and that offer requires us to ensure that, our sites are refurbished as they should be. And lastly, for us, a convenience offer, very important. So the investment plan that we have at the moment is really structured on is really around infrastructure, ensuring that we've got robust infrastructure, both from a terminal operations perspective, as well as our retail sites, and then building a compelling offer for our clients.
And through its JV, Azul Energy, BP recently committed 5 billion to drill 18 wells in Angola, expanding non-associated gas projects, and build a biorefinery. How does this investment complement BP's operations in the region and create synergies for its Southern African strategy?
Yeah, I think I'll probably start by saying Azul Energy is a separate company. We are in a joint venture with Eni in Angola, and recently obviously done some exploration in Namibia as well. But that's a separate company, and I can confirm that indeed 5 billion has been invested, but I think they would be best placed to communicate exactly what the benefit of that 5 billion will be. However, I must say that BP as a business, we've been in Angola since the 1920s, so a very long history. And any investment that we do in Southern Africa is likely to benefit Southern Africa as a region as a whole. And the product that actually comes out of Angola will be beneficial for the rest of Africa.
Mm-hmm. And you just mentioned that you've been in Angola since the 1920s, right? It's nearly 100 years. BP SA marked an incredible milestone of celebrating 100 years last year in 2024. As BP globally undergoes a strategic reset, what opportunities and challenges does this present for South Africa specifically?
Yeah, it's actually quite timely that we've had a strategic reset, because if you think about the strategic reset, we want to deliver energy for today and tomorrow. And as we know, Africa as a region is, energy short. We actually were talking about energy poverty earlier today. And, oil and gas remains very critical for the Southern Africa region. So, and actually for the whole Africa region. And for us as BP in the Southern Africa region, we still are focused on hydrocarbons. So liquid fuels are important for us, and we see gas as a transition gas. And our strategy is really underpinned by ensuring that we've got a sizable short, or we capture a sizable short in the market on liquid fuels and start growing in transition fuels. So proudly 101 years this year, and going on strong, because we, as I'm sure you're aware, that we did publish the BP Energy Outlook report. And that Energy Outlook report actually has now revised the outlook for oil and gas. And we see that now peaking in the mid-2030s as opposed to what we had previously assumed. So we still have a long play with liquid fuels. And, for us in Southern Africa, this is where we'll be playing largely.
And as the second female CEO of one of Africa's largest energy companies, what key initiatives have you implemented to promote gender equity and inclusion? And how have they influenced BP's culture?
Yeah, it's actually been a heartwarming journey and experience. So we've put together several initiatives, and I think I'll just probably start from a value chain perspective. So if we think about how we bring in product, we have partnered with some small, what we call BEE companies, to make sure that we can actually import some product and empower them as part of our supply development program. So that has been very successful for us. On the infrastructure side, in 2022, we sold one of our terminals, which is the East London terminal, to a Black female-owned business, 100%. And we signed a long-term agreement to ensure that for the next 10 years, we're able to offtake and ensure sustainability of that business. That has been successful for us. We also saw an opportunity to outsource our secondary transportation. And in doing that, we, again, focused on, how can we actually bring in new entrants and empower particularly women. And we outsourced 30% of our business, of the secondary transport business, to a Black woman-owned business. And it actually is doing quite well in the transportation space. And like I said, we've got approximately 500 retail stations. And we've gone on a journey in the last 6 to 7 years, making sure that we change the demographics of the operators in that space. And we've done so successfully and have successful women-owned businesses. Probably about 40% of those now are women-owned. And what that has done for us as well is, recognizing that transformation and supporting women-owned businesses is good business. I tell people every time, diversity is very good business. Mm-hmm. And if you actually don't have a diverse pool of suppliers and service providers, you are not actually doing, the best that your business can do. And we start to see that in the bottom line, actually. Our employees as well, we actually don't talk transformation anymore. If you look around, when you walk into our office buildings, the look and feel just tells you that, you're actually operating a different business here. And we're actually about 52% women today in the South African business. And these are competent women, many of whom have actually built their careers from the bottom and have been working their way through the management and leadership layers of the organization. And it's been quite heartwarming and success, and we see it as a success story and something for us that has actually turned the culture around, because when you've got a diverse pool of people, and what I probably call cultural intelligence as well, to say, are we culturally intelligent, by recognizing that I have got a white woman there, an Indian woman, a Black woman, and we all are working together, for the success of the organization. It has been quite a journey, and, quite pleased about it. Okay.
And just my final question, looking ahead, what is your vision for Africa's energy sector over the next decade? And what role does an event like African Energy Week do with helping to envision that plan?
Yeah. I'm hoping in the very near future, not far out future, we actually have an Africa that no longer talks about energy poverty, that when we get to 2030, we actually have been successful in ending energy poverty. I actually was quite pleased, and I think it's quite promising if I look at the conversations that we've had today, some of the success stories that are coming out. If you look at the work that's happening, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, Mozambique, even Zimbabwe as well, South Africa, a lot of great work is happening. And I think there's a recognition that, you know, we actually need to use our resources for the societies that need to be impacted in Africa. And I think for us, for us as, you know, inhabitants of this motherland, it's important for us to drive this as well. But, you know, I think what has been successful and what continues to be successful with the Africa Energy Week is, you know, it's a platform where we see deals taking place. We see transformative conversations. We see innovation coming out. And, you know, this is something we should continue to drive. And as we get better at it, in terms of we start seeing more and more progress, we also must look back and celebrate the successes that we've had. So, you know, looking forward to, you know, next year and the next, and seeing the momentum building, as it were.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mary Ro. Thank you.